Next up, who do we got? Punahele Soriano versus Roman Kopylov, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, I think Punahele Soriano has like super legit power. Very nasty combinations. He's turned some pretty decent fighters into like looking like potato sacks with the way that he dropped them. Um, one guy that comes to mind, good knockout over him, Dushko Todorovic. Good knockout by Punahele Soriano of him. And then Roman Kopylov really has like a loss on his record that still kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth, and that's Albert Duraev. Um, I am not a fan of Albert Duraev. I don't think he's a good fighter, in my opinion. I'm sure after we clip this and somebody that's a huge fan of his looks it up, looks up his name, sees that I'm talking shit, they're going to be like, well, you've never stepped into an octagon. I don't care. I've never, been made look the way that he looked when he fought Joaquin Buckley in my entire life, street fights or anything. So Albert Duraev, I might as well be. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not a better fighter than him, but I really don't think he's UFC caliber. Despite that, it should be an entertaining fight because I think both of these guys have the ability to, stand in the middle, trade, or at least, just throw hands. And but when it comes down to it, I think Punahele Soriano has a way better chin than Roman Kopylov. We've seen Punahele eat some bad shots, and he's willing to hang in there and really throw. And I think if these two guys do that, you're going to see Punahele Soriano come out on top, standing over Roman Kopylov. What do you think about that one, Tom?
Yeah, I am gonna have to side with you and side with Punahele Soriano. And really, the difference maker for me is not going to be the stand up because Roman Kopylov is actually pretty technical when it comes to his stand up ability and the way that he plots forward on the feet. He's very technical. He's very calculated. He doesn't have a lot of knockouts of, when it comes to UFC level guys. He's got that knockout prior to the UFC almost 4 years ago that you're seeing here. Abuspen Alekhanov via quarter stoppage almost 5 years ago. So against higher level competition, and also when you have guys who are outside of the UFC and then they come into the UFC and you see a significant power decrease and sometimes even their body decrease, you can maybe there was some exogenous stuff going on that led to maybe the knockouts, or maybe it was a caliber of competition, conversation as to why they were getting them and why they're not getting them now. But at the end of the day, we had talked about it before the card. MMA Guru, or maybe somebody else was talking about it with me. MMA Guru calls Punahele Soriano, calls him pillow hands, but he got that knockout over Dacha Liangambula, who Dacha Liangambula isn't top level talent inside of the UFC either, but Punahele has shown time and time again that he can land on people. He'll give one to take one, and maybe that's an O2, kind of that Samoan, Hawaiian style of background of fighters. Even if you're not from Hawaii, but you're still that Samoan type. We see a lot of the, not, I was almost said South African. That's not right. See the Australians and the New Zealanders who have that same mentality come in there and be able to throw and bang. Tai Tuivasa comes to mind. So Punahele Soriano, I think he's going to go out there, and if it's going to be a standing battle, he might have a slight decrease because of his power disadvantage. And I also don't think he's going to land as much as Roman Kopylov is. But Roman Kopylov has a glaring disadvantage when it comes to the ground, getting submitted by guys like Paul Roberson or Carl Robertson. I'm so out of it today. Getting submitted by guys like Carl Roberson at the end of the third round 3 years ago. I know he's taken some time off, but like you said, came back against Albert Duraev. And Albert Duraev exposed him a little bit when it got to the ground. He defended takedowns in the first round, and then as the fight went on, Roman Kopylov showed that he just doesn't have the grappling acumen to be able to contend against guys who have a strong grappling ability. What I don't know is if Puna Soriano is going to go out there and try to grapple Roman Kopylov. If he does, I think he's going to have a path to victory, and because of that clear path to victory, I'm going to pick Punahele Soriano. But if he decides to go out there and actually just strike with Roman Kopylov, he's doing himself a disservice because of the clear path to victory in the ground game. So doing himself a disservice there. I'm gonna have to go with him because of his ability to grapple. He hasn't done it in the past when he's had an advantage. Sometimes he'll go out there and he'll just strike because he's one of those guys that may have that advantage, but just standing and banging is more fun. So I'm going to still go with Puna. I think on the feet, he may not be as good as technical. but I think he's going to have a small power advantage. I think he's going to land. It's going to be at least close on the feet, and then he's got that glaring advantage on the ground. So Puna's the pick.
Do you believe that Punahele has pillow hands? Because I don't necessarily think so. Do you?
I mean, listen, he went back and forth with Brendan Allen when it came to the feet. And Brendan Allen is, I don't know. I don't think. I mean, he's got the knockout over Dushko Todorovic. He's got the knockout over Oscar Pichueta. He's got the 2 losses. Nick Maximov. Nick Maximov ultimately has shown that he goes out semi-easily now too. And Pua didn't put him away, but there was a lot of grappling involved in that. And that was actually the example of Punahele Soriano losing a grappling advantage. But look, Roman Kopylov doesn't have the level of grappling that Roman Kopylov doesn't have the level of grappling that Nick Maximov has, doesn't have the level of grappling that Brendan Allen has. So I'm not going to be as concerned. I don't know if I would say Puna has pillow hands, but there's a lot of times where he's landing what look like hard shots and people are able to withstand them. So, definitely I would say some question marks. I wouldn't tag him with the moniker of pillow hands yet, especially, I mean, listen, Dalchale Gabula, he may not be that great, but he's definitely physically imposing looking. He's scary looking, and getting a win over that guy. I mean, again, Pune he's not going to one hit knock somebody out and they're going to drop. He's going to hit somebody, they're going to be stunned. He's going to hit him again, they're going to be stunned, hit to the body, go back up top, hit him again, they're going to fall, then he's going to get on him. He's going to, start landing elbows, and he's going to get the TKO finish, but it's an accumulation of strikes thing. He's not putting him out one shot.
No, fair enough. I was just curious what your take was. All right, so next up we've got Dan